Welcome to the Million Vegan Grandmothers podcast. And I am so honored to have Abraham, or as his friends call him, Abraham Oort. And Abraham is going to be on our next Convergence of the People, July 27th and 28th. And he's going to be sharing a little bit of his wide range of knowledge. Welcome, Bram.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome to be here.
Yeah. So I met you, I think probably well over a year ago when you and your beautiful partner joined Climate Healers. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Yeah. Can you say it again? I couldn't hear it completely.
So you joined Climate Healers a little over a year ago.
Um,
Our organization, Climate Healers.
okay, yeah. It was about a year ago or so I met for the first time. So Lisa Burke, and then got in touch with Sailesh Rao and learned a lot from him about new things in climate because I had been away from climate for a long time. About 30 years or 25 years for, I don't know if you want to explain a little. That was because I didn't think there was a solution to the climate problems at the time. I was really discouraged by that. And also I wanted to do something new, something different, because scientists are very focused always. So we like to be more human person in a sense, to be more with the body, the human body. So I learned some body work, shiatsu, and taught that also, and learn about Eastern religion, Eastern philosophy of work, anatomy, and it's very complementary to the Western medicine. So that was actually very exciting
Oh,
because
that's
those,
beautiful. Go ahead, continue.
yeah, because actually we are also open systems, open to the environment. If we are not open with our body and with our things, then we are closed off. If we close off ourselves completely, we die because every time we have to contact with the outer world. So I think it's very good to get the freedom to do, to be without limits in the sense, investigate.
And you are also part of the Thich Nhat Hanh community. Is that correct?
That's nice. Yes. Yeah, actually, Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk who just passed away 2 years ago, we first took a class with him in 1993, was in the Omega Institute in New York State. And because we were very impressed by his books, he's so very uh, elementary, but very profound and deep, and very easy way to understand. Although to reproduce is not that easy after you, but it gives you not the background how to see things and to be in the world. There's a new way.
That's beautiful. So from being a climate scientist to being a person that focuses on the mind body and how that interacts with the environment. Very intriguing and very interesting how it all fits together. How we are the climate, really, and we are the earth, and how we interact with our mind and our body and the earth has a huge impact on how we are going to be able to live on this planet.
Yes, that's very true. It's yeah, we have to be very open, I think, to because things are changing so rapidly, and we have to use all our capacity. And what I learned actually in interacting with Dr. Rao is about the environment, the importance of the climate, the plant-based foods, is so important, especially dairy food. We didn't realize at the beginning at all, but he could convince us that it is really important. And so that you see actually that so there comes a lot extra to the science. There's also the way of compassion, comes in the compassion with the animals, and so I think one of the problems we have in the world are due to the domestication, the enslavement of the animals, which we have done throughout our very long history. So we have to really look at that and see how we can change that, because we have a strong connection with the animals too. I mean, they are loving us and we are loving them, but you're not meant to slaughter them. So there's a way probably to do otherwise. And I think it also affects the brain very much, what you eat. It's not only your body, but also your whole brain gets affected by it. So it gives you, I think, more peacefulness if you eat plant-based food, can see the world in a little different way. Um, and actually, the teaching of the Buddha are very important, I think, in that, because it gives us the way of that we have to live in a world which there's a lot of suffering going on, and that we can try to improve it. We won't solve that. I guess that's the way of life, but we can counter it by compassion and getting to work together, also in a group together. So we need people to be that, and so create more happiness and peace.
Yes, I have also been studying Thich Nhat Hanh for a few decades, and there's so much wisdom in that. And what I heard you say, one of the books I really loved of Thich Nhat Hanh is The Earth, to love the earth. I can't remember what the title of that book is called, but he says, and I have a quote in the new book I'm writing, Grief Mapping, with my partner. He says, what we really need to do is hear the earth crying. And it's true. But in order to be sensitive to the hearing the crying, what I hear you saying is you omitted all the death and destruction in your food as much as possible. So all animal agriculture, the secretions, the eggs. And recently, over the last while, you realize that dairy really contribute to a lot of harm. And you spoke of that mind connection with the dairy. I would say the gut, heart, and mind of animal agriculture. So, as a person that's come full circle, you've had different careers. You have been a climate scientist for many decades. Then you went into body work and understanding the mind body. How do you think, even recently, going completely vegan has changed you? Have you noticed a difference?
That's a very good question. Um, I think by going into the plant-based food, I get much more insight. It's also getting old helps also, but it what I feel more the connection with also with the ancestors.
Mm.
So if I can look back at my life, I see that nothing seemed to happen haphazardly.
Mm.
Everything which happened has a role, I think, in way. Very interesting. I started actually when I did in physics, I taught in theoretical physics, and it was about interesting topic about the irreversible thermodynamics. This is a very difficult thing, but this that's where there is a lot of randomness seem to be in physics. And originally it was that people accepted Newtonian physics, that everything is regular. But it seems to be that most of it is irregular, what happens in life. It's not regular at all. But so we have a role to play in there. That sort of seem to be a chaotic world. But as humans, we have our brain, so we can try to put order. And the interesting thing is that you have this law of thermodynamics, second law of thermodynamics, that whatever you do, if you do something, you create heat, you create useless energy. So actually, to have you create some order, and then according to that law, they say everything is going downhill. But there was actually an physicist, a Belgian physicist called Prigogine, and he found actually that in this very chaotic system, sometimes there starts something to kernel, starts to be there, where order is starting. And I think it's connected with the fact of life, the life force which creates this order. So actually, although things seem to go downhill all the time, there's life force which beats that in a sense. So it is, I think that's sort of hopefully for our future too, I think, although there's not a lot of chaos now. But I think we can also create order. But we have to put in the laws of physics. But there seems to be also transcendence beyond that. It's sort of beyond. It's weird. It's like Einstein. He had this found is that the speed of light is the maximum speed you can have. And he couldn't accept the fact that God doesn't throw dice. But they found actually later on in quantum mechanics that things happen at distance. So you can observe something happening in the other galaxy. And at the same time, things are changing. Although according to the law, you could never reach it because the speed of light is so short. So there's this lot of mystery in this world. And I think the life force is the mystery also in our earth. And it makes that things are alive and working in a sense. That's our hope.
Well, I love that. Out of chaos, there's always order forming. And as things are going down, new life gets to inform that. New life gets to inform. So our life force matters, and to keep our life force vibrant. And I see that you still have so much brain sovereignty, and I'm assuming you're in your 80s from?
Yes, I am 89 now, so close
Wow.
to 90.
There we go. You're almost 90 years old. You are sharp. You are still learning. You are growing. You're evolving. You're seeing more insights happening. And this is healthy longevity. This is the ability to continue taking the chaos and informing it with life force and creating new life. And that's what you're doing. You're creating new life in your mind and your body, and new pathways. Once you realized dairy was contributing to so much suffering, even though you were vegetarian, you realized you needed to go vegan, and you informed and upgraded this new version of yourself. So thank you for continuing to do that, because you're such a role model for so many people that think that by the time we're 90, well, if we're still alive, which is a miracle, or
Mhm.
we're not very closed off to the world and shut our hearts and say, this is enough, this is too much pain. You keep opening to the possibilities that life isn't haphazard, and that it continues to inform you of something else you are supposed to be present for while you're still in physical form. So thank you for being that example, that shining example.
Thank you. Now it's wonderful to be actually in this world uh, because of there's so much opportunity to do something good. But you have to sustain it in the right way to follow your path. You have these Buddhist terms where you have the Eightfold Noble Path, where you go from right view to right thinking to right speech and right action. And if you follow that, things start to happen very well. But if you do the wrong way, wrong view, and wrong thinking, and wrong speech, then things are, you make a mess. And that's what we have been doing for a long part. And that's the thing with Thich Nhat Hanh also said, we all have this possibility of doing right and doing wrong. We have the choice. But you can choose to do the things you best you can. And that is, that there's hope, I think, in that sense. That there's enough, it's enough people come to that vision. And I think going to a plant-based diet really helps a lot and doing the right thing at the right time. It's,
Well, there's no idea that has not come to full fruition in the need to implement a plant-based diet like there's ever been. I don't think, they say when there's nothing like, I can't remember the saying, but there's nothing like an idea whose time has come to pass. And veganism is that idea that has moved into truth and the life force of love, because I think it's only love that's going to heal us. I was listening to a beautiful podcast by another elderly woman recently, Dr. Glad's, and she was saying that very much her life has been informed by love right from the beginning. And that 103, she just finished writing her last book at 102, and A Life Well Lived, I think it's called. And it's about constantly growing. It's about constantly growing. So when people say, I can't change my diet, or this is how I've always ate, or this is how I've always lived, you're a shining example of saying, no, no. I remember my mother said one time when I was younger, I was a bit frustrated with her. I used to find I was like a bit of the black sheep of this family. And I said, Mom, do you think you don't have anything left to learn? And she says, No, I think I kind of figured it out. I think I know what I need to know by this point. And she was probably, I'd say, maybe in her late 50s, maybe early 60s. And I was still a little sharp tongued at that age. And I said, then you might as well be 6 feet under. And I really had this like need to inform my family at that time that no, there's so much more. But what we learn, hopefully, as we get older, is that we become these shining examples and we do what we're here to do. And we shine our lights so bright that we attract others. It's just like they want to know a little bit about what does that person have going on in a crazy world, in a chaotic world where so much doesn't make sense, so much death, disease, and destruction. That person is still smiling and their eyes are bright. And that's what we want to do as vegans. We want to be that shining example. So thank you for being that.
yeah, I think that's very, very true. It's I like also the fact I believe in reincarnation. So I think it's we get support, I think, from my ancestors. Especially now of these days, I think there's so much, if you do the right thing, they support you. They help you getting things working. I'm pretty sure about that. No proof, of course, but because it is something I think nobody came consciously back. But there's a lot of things which there's some lightning here in Vermont. It's you get this warm weather in the 90s, but now it's thunderstorms. Um, I think there's a lot of support from all that is around you. But it's from I get a lot of support from going into nature. You have these trees around the condominium where we live, and they are very ancient and old, but they are still working and they're still accepting their CO2 and giving oxygen to us. So it's very encouraging to go there and take a bath. So going outside and among the trees and all the plants. So I think we have nature which helps us around. And especially now, this time, I think that everything is growing so rapidly. I think the trees are growing amazingly, and the leaves are bigger than ever before. Maybe because the carbon dioxide or so it's increasing. So the earth is giving us feedback and helping us to get across because we are children of the earth, as you said in the beginning. And that's so if so the earth supports us and we support the earth. So there's a reason for us to be here. You're not, although we did a lot of damage, but there's maybe a reason why they created us. And we created these beautiful things also the earth, pyramids and whatever we did. Yeah. So there's lots, it's helping us around, I think, to get things in order. But we have to work at it. Yeah. So really appreciate what the grandmothers are doing. That's very good to get the grandmothers involved. Yeah.
Well, in many cultures, the grandmothers were a very big presence, and they often, in many cultures, had the final say before the patriarchal oppression took over, the patriarchal annihilation of life. I have just recently been connecting with some women that are planning a founding mothers community, a founding mothers movement as a backlash and on some level much needed upgrade to the founding fathers who were just about death, disease, and destruction and war and sending our children off to war. And the mothers are saying no more, no more abuse of our children, no more abuse of our planet, and no more abuse that happens in war, the war on life in every form. So the leaves are getting bigger. Right now, we're in the solstice. So happy summer solstice to everyone if you're on this part of the hemisphere, like Vermont and Canada. And it's a time to bathe in the light of the longest day of the year, but to remember we're children of the light, to remember that we're children of the light. And you will be speaking at our next VCOP.
I would love to. Yes, it would be great. Yeah, thank you.
Great, great. Well, we'll be contacting you for that. And I think, a lot of people think of you as a climate scientist and your look at the climate and animal agriculture. But how I see you is a deep spiritual mind-body thinker and connector and ponderer. So thank you for being that for us. Thank you for being an elder who shows up in love and light and being that shining example.
Good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
We'll talk soon.
Thank you.